Okay, what we're going to look at now is using the console in traditional split mode for recording. So as we look at the console, what we're going to do is we're going to use channels on the left just purely for the microphone inputs, and their role is just to send it to the computer after the fact. And we monitor all our signals on the right hand side. So we've already got a project here that we're going to add some things to, and I've got my fader set up, and that is a stereo channel. And right next to it I'm going to set up a fader which is going to be all my current sessions recordings that I do are going to be monitored here. So previous recordings that I've worked on there, anything that I'm working on right now that's been added to it are going to be on this fader. So both of these are set up as stereo channels. You can see if I press select for that channel there, quite clearly it says it's stereo there. If I press select for this one, quite clearly it says it's stereo there. If I press this adjacent one next to it, you can see it's in mono mode. So we're not going to use that. So bring these back in. So if I press play, I'll hear something here. Okay, good. So that's our monitoring that comes back in here. So our playback, and of course you could bring a click track and do exactly the same thing and bring the click track down here as well. So the computer and the digital audio workstation has to come somewhere on the desk. So in my mind, just to keep things easier, I know everything on playback's on this side, but everything live, reading from left to right, is coming in here. So I'm going to add some clicks to this. So again, I've got my microphone plugged into channel number 1, and I'm just going to set channel number 1 up as a recording path for the microphone. So I'm going to press select here, and I want this to not be stereo, and I don't want it to be track either. So as you can see, it isn't, and that's great. And so let's just go down the channel strip and see what's going to be happening. We're going to want it to be a microphone in this case, so we press the flip. So we've got microphone gain now enabled. If it's flip, it's green. If it's red, it's microphone. So that sets the gain of the microphone. EQ, if we want to engage it, we can switch it in, but I suggest at this stage just ignoring this. Now, as we come down here, this is a very, very important button, and I'll tell you why now. This is what is called channel output pre. Okay, so with this not lit, we won't get anything out of this channel to input number 1 unless the main fader at the bottom is lifted. Okay, so yes, that would work, but the trouble is we want to be using this just for monitoring a live signal without it having any impact on our recording here. So the thing to do here is to come and press this so it's red. Okay, now what happens is as soon as we apply some gain to the microphone, the signal is going to leave the direct out of channel 1's left channel and go straight to the computer. So let's just see that in practice. So I've got my click track here. I've got it assigned to 1L. I'm going to assign the output to the stereo channel 23 that I created, because this is going to be a new recording that I'm adding. And you can see that what we've got here, this got stereo fader, and it's got, well, I should say a stereo pan pot. So we could make up a little mix of all the new things we're going to be adding to the current mix. So we've got one on 23 and the others on 24. So I'm just going to arm this now, and if I talk into the microphone, you can see there is a signal. So microphone signal, and there we go. We can't hear anything. Okay, so microphone signal. Now watch what happens if I go in and turn that chop off, and I keep talking to the microphone. You can see the signal has gone. So it makes sense to have that. So put the chop in. Okay, chop back in. Now that's great, but if we want to hear it, all we need to do is make sure the mix button is down and bring the fader up. So now we're hearing the microphone with no latency off that fader, but that fader does not control the level. So if I turn this fader down, the signal is still at the computer. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Now, just to show what we've got going on here, we're going to listen to the signal as it comes off the computer. So I'm going to turn this off, and we see a signal, and it's assigned to output number 23. And at 23, we can see there's a signal coming in. So let's listen to our microphone signal. So this is the microphone signal coming off the computer, and it's delayed because it's coming in 1024 samples. Okay, so the trick here, when you're recording and you want to keep the buffer setting big because you've got loads of plugins, etc., is during the recording pass, just mute the channel that you're going to be recording to, and monitor off the live signal during that pass. And then once the pass is done, you unmute it and you go. So pretty handy, but relatively straightforward. But like all things, it just needs a bit of practice. Now, if I take this channel output off, okay, you'll see that we've got no signal going to our channel until we bring this master fader up. So bring the master fader up. There's the master fader. There's our signal. So in this particular case, this is now not only giving us our monitor, because we've got the mix button engaged, is also controlling the level. So you can see where the danger is in that. If during the recording pass you say, oh, that's too loud for me, what, I can't hear the drums I previously recorded, and you lower that fader, your signal is now going to be quieter. So for this particular way of working, the best way to work is to free this fader from any responsibility for setting level to the computer. Just leave it to the microphone gain and turn that channel output button off, and then everything is sorted. So there you go, that is basic split recording mode. So the channels on the left are purely just a microphone channel and a little fader so you can hear it once you've got the chop button engaged, and channels on the right are everything to do with the playback of your project. And as you build it up, you can build up your little submix of the new things you add. So invariably what I would do is I'd have, for example, if I was doing a project, I'd have my main track here of things I'm adding to, things that I've now recording, and I would set up another channel as maybe a click track. And then of course in that mode, you've all got the cue mix for the click, the stuff you're recording on playback, the previous recorded stuff on playback, and you've got your cue ready for the microphone to go straight to the musician as well. So there you go, that is split mode.